Whenever you're ready.
How many of you have or know someone that has diabetes? According to the American Diabetes Association, diabetes was the seventh leading cause of death in the United States in 2015, affecting more than 30.3 million people. It's important to know about diabetes because of its prevalence. Everyone should have a general understanding about what it is so you can help prevent it or recognize it in someone you know. I'm credible on this topic because both my grandparents have diabetes. A lot of my aunts and uncles have it, and I've also been in nursing classes for over 5 years learning about it. And I learn about the same thing every year. If you want to determine whether you or someone you know has diabetes, it is important to understand what it is, the differences between type 1 and type 2, and the most common symptoms. First, I will discuss diabetes is and how insulin plays a role in the body. Next, I will discuss the differences between type 1 and type 2 diabetes, and lastly, I will provide the information about possible symptoms to be aware of. I will provide the definition and describe what is happening in the body. Medical News Today, a website written by dietitians, doctors, and nurses, updated in 2016, states that diabetes describes a group of metabolical diseases in which the person has high blood glucose either because insulin production is inadequate or because the body's cells do not respond properly to insulin. Researchers at the University of Miami Medical School described this process of food ingestion. When you intake food, your body turns it into sugars or glucose. The pancreas releases insulin, which serves as a key to open cells, allowing glucose to enter and be used for energy. This video will help you understand this process a little more because it is confusing.
When food is ingested, it travels along the digestive tract, where it is broken down into its component nutrients in order to be absorbed into the bloodstream. One such nutrient is glucose, a simple sugar. Glucose gets absorbed by the stomach and intestines and then enters the bloodstream. It travels through the circulation to all body cells. Once absorbed into the bloodstream, glucose circulates, causing the blood sugar level to rise. An increased level of blood sugar sends a signal to the pancreatic beta cells, which respond by secreting the hormone insulin into the circulation. Insulin is necessary for glucose to reach and be used by several important target tissues throughout the body. These include the liver, muscle, and adipose tissue. Insulin is necessary to keep blood glucose levels stable in the body. Glucose enters the cell through a process called facilitated diffusion.
So hopefully that video helps you understand kind of the process with what insulin is and how it works in the body. And next I'll discuss the differences between what type 1 and type 2 diabetes is. Type 1 is typically diagnosed in children, teenagers, young adults who typically get diagnosed with it before the age of 20. The Center of Disease Control states that in type 1, your pancreas is making very little insulin or no insulin at all, causing very high blood sugar. And in this picture you can see that right here the liver is not, or the pancreas is not getting insulin through for glucose. The body's immune system attacks part of its own pancreas, causing the cells to be seen as foreign. That's why you have such high blood glucose. They're then destroyed, causing the sugars to stay in the body and build up. And with type 2 diabetes, the body does not produce enough insulin for proper function, and the cells do not react to the insulin. And Medical News Today discusses how overweight people are typically more likely to get type 2 diabetes, which progressively gets worse over time. This usually is because of inactivity and having a bad diet. Drinking just 1 can of soda per day can increase your risk of developing type 2 diabetes by 22%. Now that you know the differences between the two types of diabetes, let's discuss the symptoms. Common symptoms for both types include hunger and fatigue, frequent urination, dry mouth, and blurred vision. You can also start going blind. That is a common symptom for type 2 diabetes. People will sometimes go completely blind during it. With type 1 diabetes, the symptoms appear more quickly. Through multiple research studies from doctors at WebMD, they found that having sweet breath that smells like nail polish remover is an easy detection. So if you're like a nurse and a child comes in at the nursing center in the school and it smells like that, it's a really good indication that they need to go to the hospital to be taken care of because their blood sugar is very low. Whereas type 2 diabetes, the symptoms will include more frequent yeast infections in men and women, slow healing cuts, and numbness in the legs and the feet. In conclusion, you have learned about the two most basic types of diabetes. You learned about what diabetes is by discussing how insulin functions in the body and the differences between the two types. This knowledge will help you recognize diabetes in yourself or someone else, and also you may take more precautions to minimize the chances of getting diabetes.
Awesome, great job.